Right, good morning everyone. Hope everybody's doing well. It is another Monday, and next week will be my goddamn birthday. But that, of course, is not why you called. So, the latest news. Oh, we've got some snowflakes in the BBC that have decided that it's better for their credibility if they resign, rather than put themselves through the humiliation that is the Trump speech splice. I wish I could say I heard about this sooner, but no, truth be told, I only found out about it this morning. Now, I knew the BBC had done this kind of thing before, where they've digitally altered footage to basically change what people are saying, but to hear that they did this to Trump's speech, well, that's something that I simply didn't hear about until now. But for anybody who's wondering what I'm talking about as far as they've done this before, there was a time back when Syria was undergoing a crisis. You know, with the whole religion of snack bars and what have you. Well, they had a tendency to essentially take cover in schools, nurseries. Well, I suppose they technically couldn't do it in nurseries, but hospitals more than anything, the so-called religion of peace. But before this got altered, what had happened, for context, was there was a Syrian playground that got attacked with napalm. So they were getting attacked by this awful substance that can literally just burn you into oblivion. The BBC decided to take that footage later down the line and then change it to say there's mass confusion and chaos. It must be some kind of chemical weapon. Now, of course, the public definitely weren't dense. They figured this out. And obviously the BBC got called out for it. So it's not like these guys haven't done this before. It's not like we're sitting here and this is the first time that the BBC have decided to take two speeches, in this case, that were an hour apart, and they basically spliced it together to make it look like Donald Trump was saying we will march in the streets and we will fight like hell, basically promoting violence. But anybody who's seen the main footage of that speech will be able to instantly know that that is a complete crock of shit. Mind you, would any of us trust anything from the BBC? You know, the number one protector of child predators and all the like? Well, as far as I'm concerned, you expect me to believe your bullshit, BBC? You got two Hopes. No Hope and Bob Hope. It astonishes me to think that there are still some people who believe that the BBC are a world-renowned broadcaster that would never, ever compromise on their standards and their credibility whatsoever, and that we need more propaganda spouted down our throats. I'd like to find out where these people are and ask them what kind of drugs they were on when they made those bloody statements. Because clearly these people have not got their finger on the pulse. I think at this point we need to start grabbing their hands, grabbing their fingers, and putting it on the fucking pulse. Maybe then these people would have the common sense, as it were, to realise that the BBC are not a world-renowned state broadcaster. They're a world-renowned joke. A world-renowned disgrace, if anything, because of the fact that they have been more than willing to protect the predators. Maybe that speech is why Tim Davies decided to resign, because he realised the shitstorm that was about to head the BBC's ways, and he didn't want to be any part of it. I can't say I blame him for that, quite frankly. I wouldn't want to be a part of something as disgraceful as that, because it is effectively stroke number one, effectively libel and slander against the President of the United States. Like right now, Donald Trump, for seeing this, if he'd got a hold of this footage, he could easily take the BBC to court and clean them out, just like that. So right now, if I were in the BBC's shoes, I'd be issuing a grovelling apology right now. Especially like that one that woke lefty on GB News did when he decided to call Tommy Robinson a homegrown tea. Now, I have heard that Patrick Christys has allegedly slag Tommy Robinson off, but I will give him credit here for this one, because as far as this lefty was concerned, he did actually give a very clear opportunity for him to basically retract his statement of calling Tommy Robinson a homegrown tea. And of course this lefty did end up going up on Twitter and basically saying, I apologise for those remarks, and it was effectively unfounded. For those that don't know, Tommy Robinson had to face trial on a effectively false charge of, well, under the Counter T Act, for refusing to give his phone PIN number to the police at an unlawful stop, I believe at one of the crossings, I can't remember which one off the top of my head, but I do know that Tommy Robinson was unlawfully stopped by the police, and they had no business stopping him. It was something that was completely politically motivated, and the judge made the right and honourable decision to say, I'm throwing this case out. You are acquitted. Speaking of Tommy Robinson, let's speak about another left-wing figure, Humza Yousaf. Or maybe I was right first time. You know, the Scotland First Minister who has a track record of failure. I think as a Health Secretary, Transport Secretary. I'm not sure if security was also one of them as well, but I know there was at least 2 or 3 positions he held where he was about as much success as a chocolate fire guard. But Humza's sitting there saying, oh, we need to embrace more diversity. We need to embrace more inclusion, or more appropriately, more Islam. Turns out the so-called religion of peace was actually found more along the lines in the 600 AD region, so 2,000 years was actually incorrect on my part, so I'll apologise on that much. I'd say it was more along the lines of 1500, just to be a bit more balanced. But it doesn't change the fact that this so-called religion of peace is nothing more than an intolerant, archaic, and absolutely abusive religion that effectively preys on the women, the gays, and anybody who does not want to submit to a conquering religion, as it were. But here's Humza Yousaf trying to say, oh, well, Tommy Robinson preaches hate and intolerance and all that. If this dense piece of shit actually did even a fraction of a minute's worth of research, he would actually realise that Tommy's not the intolerant person that Yousaf claims that he is. He has had all manners of people at his events, and anybody who showed actual far-right narratives, any extremist narratives, any NZ narratives or what have you, he's removed it. He has kicked it out because he doesn't want it. He has said categorically he disavows the far right. So to say any of this nonsense whatsoever about, oh, he's sowing division and hatred, is at best misguided. At worst, it's slander. And Humza Yousaf should be investigated for it, because he has a track record, as I said, of being a complete failure. He has a track record of libelously slandering his opponents, because, let's face it, a lot of his arguments have about as much substance as a burning straw house. And he has never once admitted the elephant in the room. Maybe the problem is his own intolerant religion. And where's Keir the traitor Starmer in all this? Where's our Prime Minister, who is supposed to be sanctioning this government-approved mouthpiece? But he's too busy hiding in his little underground shelter, waiting for all the bees to stop dropping. And I'm not talking about the ones that incinerate anybody that's too close. I'm talking about the truth bees, the ones that are coming in and taking people out left, right and centre. Sadly, there are no bulletproof vests or blast-proof suits that can protect you from these types. No, in order to protect yourself from one of these truth bees, you need a degree in honesty. Something that Keir the traitor Starmer and all of the Labour MPs and all of the MPs in general in the houses of treachery, sorry, Parliament, or again, maybe I was right first time, they have a very clear, distinct lack of. Thank you. Our career politicians are more interested in telling you why we must continue allowing people from their third world to come into this country. Why we must not do something. Anyway, why we must not continue to discriminate, as it were, against this conquering religion, the religion of peace, even though it's clear as crystal for everyone to see that this religion is not here to cooperate or to basically walk alongside with us. They're here to replace us. They're here to conquer us. They are here to dominate us. But of course the mainstream media won't tell you this. You know the drill, folks, because say it with me, it doesn't suit the narrative. But to expect Keir the traitor Starmer to apologise for the BBC's incompetence and absolutely disgraceful libelous and slander against Donald Trump, at this point, you may as well have asked me to go to the moon in a rocket and trying to find a fuselage big enough to carry me. There isn't any way that he's going to apologise or basically reprimand the BBC for not doing their job. Of course he isn't. After all, the BBC is the government mouthpiece, and it wants to speak what it wants you to hear, not what is actually the truth and is based on facts rather than fiction. It's also why you see them desperately trying to hide the fact that we are heading to a very dark place, one where unfortunately violence is rife. None of us want it, but it's coming. I mean, if Keir the traitor Starmer thinks he's going to fool anybody here, then he is insulting our intelligence, just like the pay machines in the co-op keep telling me how to bloody pay when I know how to do so. Anyway, Keir the traitor Starmer is advocating effectively for this CW to break out. He is the one who's causing this. None of us are trying to sow division or hatred. What we're doing is we're exposing the intolerance of a religion that has categorically said, we are not here to integrate. We are here to subjugate. Mind you, it's like I've said before, you could put these wankers in front of a bloody blackboard, put 1 + 1 = 2 on the board, and somehow you could ask them the question and they'd still manage to get it wrong. And if we want to talk about misinformation, what about some snack bar who is claiming, oh, there are twice as many white people getting referred to Prevent than there are people from the religion of snack bars? Well, here's the thing. You are 6.5–7% of the English population, whereas we, the whites, we make up far more of this population, very understandably, as we're the ones who built this place. Now, I know that's a very cold, bitter pill for you to swallow, but swallow it you most definitely will. Because at the end of the day, Islam did not create England. Buddhism did not create England. The French did not make England. Do you know who made England what it is? English people. White Christian people made England. And if we really want to go that far, why don't we think about that little statistic that Quillian put out? You know, the Muslim think tank, the one that said that 84% of all the crimes committed that effectively endangered and violated all these women and children, they were all predominantly committed by predominantly Pakistani Muslim men. Now, do you want to use your number representation to basically argue a point? Or do you need a further lesson in humiliation? The bottom line is, there is a lot of misinformation out there. I do agree with that. If they want to start arresting people for misinformation, I'd like to direct our two-tier policing society to 10 Downing Street, and they can start from there. Maybe once they're done with 10 Downing Street, maybe they should go to the head offices of the BBC, because they're also one of the biggest lying sacks of shit and misinformation to date. Then I would recommend them pay a visit to Humza Yousaf. I would recommend them pay a visit to Jess Phillips. I recommend them pay a visit to Narinder Kaur, just to name a few people. The lying wokey-cokey wankers, the NPCs who have got less common sense than a shriveled stick. Because it's about time we took out the trash and placed it in the dustbin of history where it rightfully belongs, quite frankly. If you want to start arresting people for misinformation, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Whenever I've put out information, I've done it in good faith, in the hopes that it is going to clue people in. I do not put out false narratives intentionally with malicious intent, unlike the mainstream media. So when the time comes, and you do undoubtedly try to make misinformation unlawful, well, they know where to look first. And as for you, BBC, well, you better hope to Christ that Donald Trump is in a generous mood, because I highly doubt a libel and slander case is going to do you any good. In fact, I'd say it's going to clean you out completely. But maybe if he does this, maybe the United Kingdom's people will be able to rest easy, knowing the biggest bullshitting corporation in the country is no longer at large.